What's up, guys? Dave Uzio with The Blind Spot. Thanks for joining us on another episode on our YouTube and podcast. Today, I have a special person. Some of you guys may know him, and some of you may not. Mark Kini, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thank you.
How you doing, bud? What's going on? What's a good word?
What is a good word? Well, these are certainly some crazy times, as we all know. And I am just grinding.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see in the background, I have grind, hustle, and we're missing execution. So those are my three.
I like that.
I follow every day.
That's awesome. Well, if you guys don't know who Mark Kini is, he's the owner of both Boston Chauffeurs out of obviously Boston. He runs a very high-end service in Boston. He manages a lot of our work, all of our work in Boston, which isn't much. But beyond that, Mark has become kind of a big brother, mentor, just a bunch of different roles he's been forced upon by me without his knowledge and his approval. But he definitely helped me become a better operator here in the Bay Area and in LA. So, Mark, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, first, Dave, thank you for inviting me on as a guest. I love the name of the podcast, The Blind Spot. I'm obviously a big fan of Dave Uzio, and it's a pleasure to be here. So,
thank you.
Well, a little thing about me. Wow. Well, I've been in the chauffeur car business for 20 years. I was born and raised in Boston, Massachusetts. I live in a town about 15 miles north of Boston called Wakefield. And my office, Boston Chauffeur, is located in Beverly, which is about 20 minutes north of Boston. So that's really great for me. So I have a reverse commute. I never really get caught in too much traffic. And it's been great. I live in a town, I live on a lake, so I've been getting into doing some running and some outdoor workouts and just really using the nicer weather we're having here in Boston and just kind of clear my head and I just can just take one day at a time. This stuff is so intense right now. That is my medicine, literally one day at a time.
Yeah, I mean, it's been rough, I think, for everybody, with the COVID-19 pandemic. That kicked kind of all of us in the rear end, middle of March-ish, something like that. I think we in San Francisco kind of started feeling stuff earlier, but didn't know what was going on. And then it literally shut the door on pretty much everyone's business. And I think we're all kind of freaking out. We're trying to stay, like you said, level-headed, working out, eating right. And we'll get to that kind of stuff because I know you're really big into that side of your life, your bodybuilding and that kind of stuff. But how is your business doing right now?
Sure. So all in all, I think the business is pretty healthy. And when I say that, I mean in terms of financially stable. I always believe like being the finance part of the business is like the heartbeat. And you work on the other pieces to keep the heart healthy. That would be my analogy. So we've secured our PPP loan and we've deployed that. We're about halfway through that. There's been some pros and cons to that. Certainly the pros are, we're not eating into our operating costs as much on payroll, but there's nothing for our employees to do.
Right.
I've taken this time and I kind of stumbled onto it, but I'm so happy I did. Huge props to my mom who volunteers at the Soup Kitchen and the Mission in the Bay Area for giving me that DNA and blood to donate my time. But we've been, myself and my team has been delivering meals to COVID impacted families, touchless delivery. So we're working with the food banks right on the front lines, delivering meals to families that are suffering from COVID, that are sick.
That's awesome. That's really cool. I noticed that, you on your social media, you're doing that a lot, and you got some recognition in the media too, right? But
yeah. So I got called by a local senator here in Mass. So we just started doing deliveries in Chelsea, which is kind of like the red hot zone currently in the Boston area. Really heartbreaking. You would think it's a third world country there. the lines of people waiting for food. It's just so touching because, you know, I go home to my fridge every day and it's full. I never think twice about what I'm going to eat, but I mean, there's so many people that don't know where their next meal's coming from. And I never really knew that, you know. It's really been sobering to see the struggle out there. So there's some good that's come out of this thing. But business has been awful. I mean, we're averaging 3 to 5 rides a day. And there's really no imminent signs of that improving.
Yeah. You know, obviously we're going through a period right now, and when this broadcast, we're going to be probably like a week or two out of what the day is today. And the last 5 days, this country has been in a, I'm not really sure even the right word, but we went from one pandemic to maybe a second one, with the rioting and the, you know, situation that happened in Minneapolis, that's turned, you know, all the cities upside down now, even more. Are you guys affected by any of that in your area? You know, I know downtown Boston for sure, but
yeah, I'm hearing more and more. I mean, certainly downtown Boston, there was chaos going on there, but even some of the local towns are now getting impacted. I don't want to get into a political conversation. Certainly, those cops in Minneapolis were very, very wrong and should be punished to the full extent of the law, and throw the book away. But what's going on with these riots is just nuts. I mean, we're ripping the country apart. So it doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah,
no, and definitely there's no political, and we could talk about whatever the fuck we want to talk about here, but this is not the platform I want to do. So, so let's, one thing that maybe people don't know about your company is you run all Mercedes, right?
Correct. Mostly all Mercedes. So our sedans are all Mercedes and our vans are all Mercedes Sprinters.
Okay.
You know, obviously on the SUV side, Mercedes doesn't make a full size SUV.
Right.
So we're running Navigators and Escalades, and we have a Gretsch bus, minibus. So I would say we're more of a boutique company. Okay. We're not so small. We're working off a cell phone.
Right.
From our home. We're not so big that you're just another account number. That's kind of my value proposition to our client base, and that's worked really well for me.
Yeah. How many cars are you running right now?
So we are running. Well, I mean, that's a difficult question. We have.
No, I mean, you know what I mean. You own. Let's start with how many cars do you own?
We have 18 vehicles in our fleet, but we're only operating 7 of them.
Okay. And then obviously with this pandemic, things have changed, but you're really getting back into I mean, you've always been an avid lifter. Why health was important, that kind of stuff. What have you done to keep yourself, you know, keeping sane? Like, what kind of workouts are you doing? What's your meals like? That kind of thing.
Yeah. So just to give you some history on that, I grew up playing sports. I had some great friends, and just from an early age, you know, we just started training around 13, 14 years old. You know, it really started getting more disciplined, you know, in freshman football, and you know, our football coach owned a powerlifting gym in our town, and that just kind of made it easier for us to do it. But we were always active. And I have some of those friends today. You know, one of my best friends from high school is one of the top trainers in LA. You know, I still stay in touch with him. I still get tips from him. I mean, he's just a freak of nature. So what I've been doing lately, so basically up until that, but it was more bodybuilding, powerlifting. You know, I had done some powerlifting contests in my 30s, mostly on the bench, some push-pulls. Never really got into competing. I always struggled with the diet. The diet is unbelievably rigid if you want to compete and do well. And with the work schedule, it just didn't appeal to me. But I do love the sport from a fan perspective, I guess is the best way to put it, and appreciate the effort that those guys put in. But what I've been doing lately, I'm trying to lean down, or I have been leaning down. So I'm getting into some light running. I'm doing some more like CrossFit, you know, workouts. I just got a 350-pound tire delivered to my house.
Wow.
So
where did you get that from?
So there's a tire center here in Wakefield, and I went to school with the brothers that own it, and I'm good friends with them, but I also do business with them.
Okay.
They had this extra 350-pound tire, and they dropped it off for me. I was stoked. You would have thought it was Christmas.
That's awesome. I've been trying to find one. I can't find it around here. Like,
oh my God. My neighbors aren't liking it too much, but
no.
they, I have some neighbors that don't appreciate it, but yeah, I had some friends over yesterday, even females. We were, the guys were doing the tires themselves. The two of the females were doing it at a time. It was great.
That's cool.
We had some fun with it. And I put a little home gym in my basement. That's been another pro of the pandemic.
That's awesome.
I knew the gyms might shut down, and sure enough, they did. So I have pretty much a full gym down there now. I'm just loving it.
That's awesome. Did you, Billy Jinks from Jet in Arizona?
I do know Billy. Yeah.
Did you see what he did? He like right when everything hit, he, I guess, found online, 15 machines from a gym that was shutting down, and he got it for I don't know, some ridiculously low. So he's cleared out his garage because all the cars are sitting, and he's got seriously a full gym.
Okay. I'll have to go check it out. He seemed to hit the lottery because, one business to be in right now is the used gym equipment business. I go on Facebook trying to get 45-pound plates. They want $3 or $4 a pound. I
know, dude. It's horrible.
I'm like, damn, I'm in the wrong business.
I know, dude. I bought right when the pandemic hit, I ordered. There's a place here called the Armory, and they're basically known for having all the equipment, for basically gyms to buy. So they're, $1 per pound, $1.50 per pound. They can't even pump enough. There's not enough steel and metal to make bars and plates. They're ran out.
That's not.
Because everybody is, doing what they need to do. And part of this process of the pandemic, a lot of people are, looking at it as this crazy, horrible thing, which it is. Don't get me wrong. But I think it's something we all should take a second and, slow down and really look at what we're doing when we weren't going through this. Because I could tell you, I was running on every cylinder all the time. I never slowed down. I would sleep for 8 hours, 7 hours, but it wasn't even that good sleep because I'm always thinking about something. These days, I'm not sleeping because I'm worried about everything, but during the day, I'm actually able to get things done because everything slows down in my head. Have you felt the same way, or are you still just moving?
No, there's times that I can chill. I've got back into reading. I really like to read. I just read How to Win Friends and Influence People for a second time. My business coach recommended that. Okay. I'm going to start on a TED Talks book. I already picked that one out. So I like to balance it out. I got to be in the right frame of mind, not have a million things going on in my head to be able to focus on reading.
Right.
But getting back just quickly to the workout thing.
Yeah.
All of us want to look good. I don't know who can say, hey, you know what? I don't want to look good.
Right.
But that's a secondary reason for me to work out. My number one thing is it's my medicine.
Yeah.
It keeps me stable.
Yeah.
I'm a better father. I'm a better employer. I'm a better son.
Yep.
I'm more stable. I'm less hot-headed or volatile. You can tell when I haven't worked out for a couple of days, I get cranky.
Yeah.
And it's just something that just helps me tremendously. So I feel it almost like I feel like I go into withdrawal if I'm away from the gym for too long. Because and even when I'm dead tired, I push myself, and that feeling.
Oh yeah.
Your mind's telling you, you know what, tomorrow, and you make yourself go and you override it, and you're like, damn, I'm so happy I went. Yeah, I feel so much better.
Yeah.
Every single time.
I agree.
So that's kind of the trick for anyone in the struggle. You just can't listen to your mind. You just got to do it.
Yeah, I think it's for myself, I've kind of from 10 years old to 24 years old, I was a big boy, heavy, not healthy, ended up doing the gastric bypass, lost 200 pounds, and realized at that point how important working out was, not for my looks, but to keep my body moving in the right direction. And I got into powerlifting, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago. It's probably longer than that now. It's probably about 5-6 years. And my coach, who we recorded a few, a week ago, that will be coming out tomorrow, which is today's Monday, June 1st. He was the one who really got me into understanding that lifting is not about how strong you are physically, it's how strong you are mentally. And the mental game was the hardest thing for me to get past. So hard. I mean, you've been doing this a long time. I wasn't, I've been going to the gym religiously for 6 years now. And I sustain a body weight anywhere between 220, 240. I got the COVID 25 going. I'm going to remove it as I'm talking to you, trying to drink more water and that kind of stuff. I would say the COVID, 30, but that just sounds really bad. I don't want to be too honest, but I do believe that it is a great medicine, especially for me, with PTSD. It literally lets me go to a different place. It's so crazy.
Yeah, that's a great journey, and it only gets better. And, just keep moving. You just nailed it. It's so easy to come home, sit on the couch, put the TV on, then going out and just even sometimes going for a walk. If you got to start somewhere, just start walking.
Right.
You and I have talked about walks, from Mark Bell.
Yeah, 10-minute walks.
10-minute walks.
Yeah.
So it's a great place to start. It does two things. It's healthy for you, and it helps your head.
Yeah. I mean, I religiously now walk. So my shop is, probably like 10 minutes away from where all my cars get worked on. So my Continental that I bought, the 67, is getting worked on over there. So 3 times a day, I get out of my office and I go walk over there. It's a, round trip, 20 minutes. And it has changed, definitely, like the blood flow and all that kind of stuff. And I'm still, I'm dealing with now a sciatica nerve problem in my leg, and I'm trying to deal, this is the most I've sat in one place, I think, my whole life. Even when I was heavy, I was always moving. Here, with this whole pandemic and everything shut down, shelter in place, I haven't been able to do anything. And so it's important, what Mark was referring to is Mark Bell, who is the owner of Slingshot, who makes equipment for powerlifters and shirts and all that kind of cool stuff. And he talks about, he's really big into the keto diet and big into 10-minute walks after every meal, 10-minute walk. And he has gone down a lot of weight. I mean, me and Mark follow him a lot, and he's definitely shed that weight by just being smarter on what he eats and his activities. So let's talk a little bit. I wanted to ask kind of your routine, like your workout routines, because a lot of people are, at home trying to figure out what to do. Obviously, you're not a coach, but you've been doing this long enough that I think you could give some good advice. What's some good stuff where you could recommend to some people that are maybe at home and need stuff to do?
Yeah, well, great question. Well, the first thing is, if you don't have an active routine, just start. And once you start, don't overdo it. Right. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Whether you're talking working out or a diet. I can't tell you how many times a year I'll have people come up to me at the gym. Hey, I need to lose 15 pounds for my daughter or son's wedding. And well, when are they getting married? Oh, next week. I'm like, well, yeah, you probably should ask me that maybe 3 months ago.
Right.
So, I mean, you got to plan it out. But, certainly when you're home and in these environment, if you don't have equipment, bands are still, you can get bands. Those are pretty easy to get. Push-ups, even if you do a modified push-up for someone that maybe can't do a complete push-up. Dips, you can do a modified dip. Obviously sit-ups and, stretching. I mean, I wish I've gotten into doing a lot more stretching lately. And I'm going to continue on. I wish I started stretching 30 years ago, because I am one tight dude. My hips, my hip flexors, oh my God, it is just brutal. And I started running, and now I'm even feeling it more. So at this point, I'm actually 51 years old. A lot of people don't know that. I have to listen to my body. So, I mean, there's days that I don't have. I used to always do International Chest Day on Monday.
Yeah.
You know what? That's changed, because if my shoulders bother me or aching me,
right.
Shoulders come into so much, I'll go to a pulling movement. So chest, you're pushing, I'll do a pulling movement like back or biceps or legs, or I'll train something other than a pushing movement. Or if my back's bothering me, vice versa,
right.
I'll do a pushing movement. So I'm really intuitive, listening to my body, warming up more. Okay. I spend a lot more time warming up, and I'll do like, little girl weights just to warm up, just to get some blood in there. It's not about lifting 1,000,000 pounds and, being the biggest jack dude in the gym. I don't want to get hurt. I don't want to tear a pec. I can't tell you how many guys I know, close friends of mine, that have torn pecs and, had, shoulder rotator cuff surgeries and all types of stuff. That will just put me out of order. So I want to do everything I can to avoid an injury like that.
That's some really good advice. I think it's really important that you do listen to your body, and don't push yourself like you're competing for competition tomorrow. I think a lot of people tend to think that there's a quick remedy to losing weight and getting strong, and these are years and years combined to get to a point where you could say or feel strong. The dieting thing has always been a struggle for me. I think it's one of my coping mechanisms, and I'm not the only person. But I think it's really important to try to sustain whatever kind of diet you want, without pushing yourself, because if it's something forced, I think there's more chance of failure. And making those like baby steps. Like I'm a Diet Coke fanatic. So I quit drinking soda, like, I don't know how many weeks ago. And I definitely feel better. And do I have soda here and there? Yeah, I do. But like, I've been drinking iced tea and water. That's pretty much, I'm trying to get the gallon and a half water every day, which is a hard thing to do. But I think it's really important. What you were saying is, as you get older, you got to listen to your body and, find ways around those moments where you feel like, okay, well, my back hurts, so I'm not going to work out at all. What I'm hearing from you is just do something else. The push and pull, people don't understand what that is. Pushing movement is bench pressing, anything laying down kind of thing. Pulling is you're more inclined to be standing up or leaning over or something to that extent. Kind of like for like the power lifters, it's a deadlift. That's a pulling movement. Bench pressing is going to be your pushing movement. What's your diet like?
Yeah, so my diet's actually been really good. So, but let me just touch back on your Diet Coke. So you are looking at the East Coast Diet Coke drinking champion, and
what?
Yeah. So I have like an addictive personality. So I was finding myself drinking 5 or 6 Diet Cokes a day and not drinking water, like you just alluded to.
Mm-hmm.
And why I wasn't, losing any weight. I have totally eliminated Diet Coke. It is amazing. I didn't ever think I could do it. I haven't had a Diet Coke in 6 weeks. And I don't even miss it now. The first couple of weeks, I couldn't stop thinking about it. But I mean, now it's like, I don't even think about it. And I've been just drinking water. I get some of the, flavored lemonade stuff, in the water to give it some flavor. And I'm a happy camper. I'm so happy I kicked my Diet Coke habit. But so that's amazing that you just said that, because it's such a coincidence that we both.
That is a small world. I didn't even know that.
But so what I've been doing is I've been meal prepping. So I've been, if I can't have stuff in the house, if I have it in the house, I'm going to eat it.
Right.
I'm a big Cheez-It addict. I can't buy a box of Cheez-Its.
Dude, no wonder we're best friends. I'm a fanatic, dude. I have those little 100-calorie ones, so I feel better about myself. But when you have 5 of them, it doesn't count anymore.
We're just lying to ourselves. We just eat more of them. So I can't even have any of that in the house. So I actually meal prep my meals. Now I have now that it's nice weather, I can grill. So turkey tips, chicken breasts, fish, I put everything on the grill.
Right.
And then I just, put it into little containers and I have it in the fridge and I just have it ready to go. And then another new little trick I used to do. So I love to eat and I love sweets. So nothing's off limits to me.
I remember going to dinner with you in Vegas.
Yeah. And when the train comes off the track, guys, I mean, it really comes off the track. So
it's so awesome.
I'm like an all or nothing guy. So I just read this and it makes such sense. So we typically give ourselves food rewards. So we'll hit a goal of a workout or a weight or whatever. and we'll say, all right, I'm going to go to a buffet or a steak dinner. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I mean, you don't want to totally deprive yourself.
No.
But with me, once I let loose, I have a hard time. I'll say Friday, I treat myself to a big meal and cheat and a dessert. That somehow turns into breakfast the next day.
I didn't finish. I got to finish it.
I don't know where it's going to stop. So what I just read, which was recommended, is don't make it a food reward. What about a massage? Give yourself something else.
Right.
Or I'm going to buy myself a new pair of kicks or a new pair of jeans or whatever, an experience. But I mean, I have a guy that's been coming to the house called the Stretch Bro.
Okay.
The guy. So it's like half Thai massage and half stretching. So it's not enjoyable because he bends me apart.
Shit out of you. Yeah.
But it's so therapeutic. So I've been having him come once a week. I've been having my buddy Jose Raymond come, who's one of the world's top bodybuilders. He's been coming once a week. So I hope I'm not offending anybody who's into the hardcore social distancing stuff. The guests are wearing masks and we're dealing with that, but I'm over it. Not that I want to see anybody get sick. I'm not saying that. Me personally, I'm over it. Let's move on with our lives. I'm not worried about getting sick. I certainly don't want to give it to anybody. I don't want to get it. I don't want to give it to anybody, but I don't want to go on too much of a rant like that. But yeah, I've started to. We're humans. We need to be around other humans.
Right. We become,
human beings.
Honestly, back away from politics. I mean, I think why things are going so crazy now is people have been pent up of the situation that's happened over time, along with the fact that the last 3 months, everybody's been stuck home. So it's like anger is fueling everything right now. And I'm over it, dude. Like,
but you and I aren't in New York right now or Times Square robbing the Rolex store.
No. Or stealing from the Cheesecake Factory, which is, by the way, that person who walked out of that Cheesecake Factory with a cheesecake with a smile on her face, she deserves an award.
Yeah.
Because that's probably the only place that I would legitimately be willing to take something from, because every other store is like, there's too many cameras. Like, but the cheesecake, that's like, I would have never thought of it. I give her a lot of credit for doing it. Yeah,
she should get a get out of jail free card for that one.
Just for that. And nobody else should except her, because who'd have thought to steal a cheesecake? That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh my God, this is fun.
This is great. Couple other things. So can I spill the beans about you? Something I know about you, and you could confirm or deny. You were a body double for somebody, huh?
Wow, that is true.
Do you want to tell people who it was for? Are you allowed to?
I mean, it'd be kind of ruin the podcast.
I mean,
and you kind of put me on the spot here. So, guys, this was a once in a lifetime thing. I mean, I was in the right place at the right time with the right friend. But long story short, 4 or 5 years ago, I think it was 2015. There was a movie being filmed in Boston called Central Intelligence. It was Kevin Hart, DJ, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and I forget the big dude that was in it. Funny guy.
I can't remember, but I know who you're talking about.
It was a comedy. It was good. I knew he was in town filming it because his girlfriend at the time, I think it's his wife now, lived in the next town over. Her family, and he was staying there, and he was working out at a gym literally like a mile and a half from my house. And a friend of mine who's a big Boston club promoter was good friends or really tight with his cousin, Tanoy, who's his stunt double. He does all the Rock stunts. He looks very much like The Rock. He's a little shorter. So towards the end of the movie, Tanoy had a son who played was a top high school football player, recruited high school football player in Hawaii, and it was opening day. They were opening their season or whatever, and he wanted to get home to see his son, but he couldn't leave until he finished up the last scenes of the movie. So he needed to find a replacement if he was going to get permission to leave. So that's when my buddy Winter called me. I remember having my daughter here at the time. She was probably 15. And he's like, can you send me a bunch of pictures of your arms and your legs and your hands on the steering wheel? And, he told me what it was for, and I just thought he was stroking me. I was telling my daughter, this is fun. We're going to take some pictures in my car, but, there's no way I'm ever going to get this part. I never even thought anything of it till Monday when they actually called me. Boston Casting called me and told me I had the part.
What?
And it was just an unbelievable experience. I have a full head of hair. I had never shaved my head before, and I didn't plan on it. So when I got there on day 2, they're like, yeah, it says you got to shave your head. And I'm like, well, what are you talking about? They never told me that. I'm not shaving my head. Well, you gotta, I mean, that's what you got to do. That's what the director or whoever wants.
Right.
So they paid me, I think, $1,200 to shave my head. I thought I was going to look awful with a shaved head. I've actually rocked that look a couple times since.
I like that look with you.
And I grew back, so I'm a lucky guy.
I was going to give you. Listen, we're close, and so there have been times that I've had to bite my tongue on your hairstyles. Not that I have any room to talk. I'm a one size fits all. I just shave my head. It's great. You were rocking shaved head when I first met you, and then you had it grow back, and you had it kind of weird clean up, and now it looks great. Now you look.
I got the Tony Montana look going.
Yeah, you got the slick back fade from the bottom. It's looking good. You're doing well, my friend. You're doing well, and I'm jealous. Okay, let's just be really honest about it. Super jealous.
All right. Well, that's the story. It was great. I got to bring my daughter one day to one of the filming. So it was 4 days, and it was just a great experience, and they never called me again. So,
so
by the phone.
Do you still have do you have the clip that you're in? Have you seen it? And
yeah, so I watched that movie 6 Ways to Sunday, and the only scene that I think is me, because they do so much editing, is a funny scene. One of the scenes I had to do was ordering an Uber and throwing the phone on Kevin Hart's desk. So
wow.
It was the movie was being filmed in Baltimore. I mean, the theme of the movie or the plot of the movie was being filmed in Baltimore. And I had to do this scene like 5 or 6 times where I clicked on the Uber and I threw the phone on the desk, and it had to land just perfect. So every time the phone would go flying across the desk. So I finally got it right on the 5th or 6th try. And that's the one where I'm like, I think that's my hand.
My hand made it. I'm winning. That's so funny too, and that's so coincidental that the one part is you ordering an Uber.
And me ordering an Uber, and God, how ironic is that?
Yeah,
right?
ironic, huh?
That was
man.
God, you have a funny sense of humor.
Right. Well, hey, Mark, I know you got it's later in the evening for you, and I know you got some plans. I wanted to just thank you for taking the time to jump on this. Totally casual. I want people to get to know you. I can't say it more than enough how much you've helped me grow my business, just me as a person, and being an ear always. I'm very fortunate. We were introduced through Dale of O'Hare Midway Limousine, who we both consider very close friends of ours. And so I thank you so much for taking the time and joining us. I hope you had a good time. My next, we're hoping to add some more flavor to this podcast. So we're going to get some more of a panel. So once we get those, I'll invite you back, because you know how much I love you, man.
Absolutely. So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Who's the target audience for the Blind Spot? Is it mostly chauffeur car operators, or is it other entrepreneurs? And give me some idea where the mission is.
I think in the beginning when I started about 2 years ago, the Limo Lounge was kind of my focus of talking about the industry with the people that I'm in the industry with. But what I've realized the last 2-3 months since all this has gone down, I think there are a lot of industries that are very much like ours. And there's a lot of things that we can learn from other industries and other entrepreneurs and other business people, and everywhere from barbers to gym coaches to chauffeurs to anybody. Everybody's got a story, and I think we could letting people talk their story and then hearing, and then we're able to listen. I think we're going to start to see that we could connect with people more. And I think that the blind spot is is basically me saying I'm missing a lot of things.
Mhm.
And for me, like that, we came up with a blind spot. It's like your rear view mirrors, your side mirrors. There's a blind spot. You're missing it. If you don't turn your head and look, you're going to miss it. And this is the kind of thing, is stopping and looking around and saying, okay, what can I get from other people that I can't get by myself?
Mhm.
And so to say who my target audience is, I bet it's going to start with people who are in this industry. But I'm going to have a lot of guests. We're during these times right now, we've had some, really important conversations need to be happening. And I'm inviting some people who are going to have different perspectives. And I think it's listening to people's stories and being able to digest it, and then taking it and apply it into your own life if it works or it doesn't. And that's why I decided to do this again. Selfishly, I decided to do this because I realized that I was starting to get a little bit more depressed, trying to stay positive and keeping myself busy. There's a lot of things going on in my life, but I do believe that, talking to people like you and talking to other folks and hearing what you're going through helps me realize that I'm not the only one going through it. We're just going through it differently. And I guess I navigated that question a little bit around, but I don't want to have a target audience yet. I want to just start throwing stuff. And, the hope is we're going to continue to have some great guests like you. I have guests that are not even in this industry. I've got a guy who runs a pot farm in Humboldt County that's going to be up soon. I've got, guys that own gyms, guys that own private jets.
Love it.
So it's going to be for everybody to learn. And I think that, I'm starting with the guys that I'm really close with, the people that are in this industry with me, who have, who are not so one track minded.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the things that we have to take from all this is that we have to diversify our business or our portfolio, not really our business, our portfolio, because when one fails, we have to have something else to back it up. And so that's what I'm learning through these times. So, hopefully I answered your question. I kind of went.
No, you did. And Dave, I don't think you're being selfish, because it's helping other people and it's helping you. I mean, I love win-win situation. Who doesn't like to win, right?
Right.
I certainly like to win. So, kudos to you. And the blind spot makes perfect sense, because I can relate to that. Because besides chauffeur car operators and my gym buddies, probably it was 2014 when I got introduced to a business coach, life coach.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what the fuck is this life coach thing about? I was so close-minded towards it, but I'm like, you know what? I was going through a divorce at the time, and I was at a turning point, and I hadn't squeezed the most out of the orange with the opportunity at Boston Chauffeur. I had been very complacent. I mean, I had some golden years, where it was like printing money, but that was a different time. Now it was more strategy, more discipline. Mm-hmm. The Wild West days were kind of over. This is now Uber was in the game. So when my reference to this thought process, I started expanding my network outside of my typical go-tos, and I have some great people. I have a good confidant that runs a couple $100 million meat packing plant. I have another one that runs like $150 million travel company, which has obviously been tremendously disruptive. But prior to that, everything the guy touched turned to gold. He has a big real estate, property portfolio. And then, my neighbor who, was the 7th highest person in a $13 billion company, and is just done very well for himself. So I bounce ideas off of people.
Yeah.
And I'm always trying to learn something. So, I mean, that's another thing. Every day I just try to learn one new thing.
Right.
You never know who you're going to learn something from.
You never know.
Tip about, hey, don't treat yourself to a food reward. It makes perfect sense, right?
Yeah, for sure.
We love food.
Yeah.
Let me work my ass off all week, all right, and work out hard and diet.
Right.
Just go have a 10,000 calorie meal in Las Vegas you know.
Dude, it's so funny. Like there was a period I remember we're kind of sidetracking, but it's okay. I remember like I would work out so hard during the week, like 5 days a week, going, and then Saturday and Sunday, it's like then you get back on the scale on Monday, and you're like, okay, well, I'm back where I started.
We've all done it, man. We've all done it.
Oh, dude, it's hilarious. Hey, Mark, I love you, buddy.
All right, I will be in your neck of the woods in less than 2 weeks. So
yeah, so we're gonna plan to see each other. I know your mom is is elderly, and we want to play it safe. But honestly, Mark, I really appreciate your time. I love you. Stay healthy. You look great. Love your hair. Love everything about you. Peace out, brother. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks, Mark.
Bye.